then you mentioned your move from Czech to Austria. What stood out to you from that, if you had to say, like, since you mentioned the planes, what else could you say?
We were on a train on there, and I have no idea how we. I mean, I was 4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really. I was just following,
Yeah.
and we were out somewhere out on just a flat desert, and somebody ran through the train. The train stopped, and they ran through the train, and they said, "Everybody out! Everybody out! There is an attack coming," and for some reason I remembered that part. We got out, and they told us to head over to this to this. Move over to that farmhouse and get into the barn at the farmhouse. And so we did. And this is probably one of the most gruesome things that I remember is there were several people that decided not to get off the train. And then all of a sudden we heard airplanes coming in and a big racket, and then all of a sudden it was all still, and they came into that barn and said, "Okay, time we can get back on the train." So we got on the train, and there was some people on there that that didn't get off, and the lower half of their body was sitting in the chair, in the seats. The upper part was cut in pieces and laying on the floor next to them. From them shooting with their guns along, and we assumed what they had thought, that was a troop movement, and that's why they were attacking. I have no idea what country or what it was. I mean, at that time, everybody seemed to be in everybody else's good standing, and that, and so I don't know any.
And you were like 5 years old.
But this was 45, so I was born in 39, so late in 39, and this was early in 45 somewhere, so I was 5 years old at that time. It was that is a pretty rough remembrance.
Yeah.
But other than that, the rest of it seems to be, I mean, I had a good time with my buddies. We in Salzburg. We ran around together. We did a lot of skiing. We went in at Christmas time, and some of the ideas was like for Christmas Eve, the routine is we usually had supper, then we opened up actually before we had supper, we decorated the Christmas tree. It was already set up. We decorated the Christmas tree, then we had supper, then we went exchanged gifts, then we went to midnight mass, and then we got up on the 25th on Christmas Day, and we all of the kids went skiing. I don't know what the rest of them did.
Yeah.
That was the routine that we did year after year. So from the time, from about 46, 47 until we left in 1956. That was always the same routine. I had two brothers, one the same age as mine, one a year or a year and a half younger, that we hung out with, and it was almost like a gang. We always were together. So.
Yeah.